What is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. It has been quite some time since I last uploaded a video, and there is a good reason for that. This video was actually supposed to be made last year at this exact time, and the reason it didn't is because my wife and I found out that we were pregnant with our first baby. I was actually over in Maryland at World Cup Finals when I found out and got the message. So once that happened, this car and this project that I had planned for the winter of last year was put on hold. Now you might be asking, what were the plans? Well, last year, it came to me. I had to decide, do I want to stay with the B series platform or do I want to jump to the K? And I had two different thoughts if I was going to do that. If I stuck with the B, this thing was coming out, the B20 was going to get sleeved, be a piston and rod motor with a built head, and I was going to put a turbocharger on it. The goal was to make around 400 to 500 on E85. The other option was to ditch the B series platform altogether and jump up to the K series platform. Now, after giving it a lot of thought, going back and forth, the pros and cons of both of those, I decided to ditch the B series and go to the K series platform and install a JDM K24 in here with a 6-speed. Now you might be asking, why get rid of such a good engine that you have? The B series platform is tried and true, and that is true. It is a wonderful platform. This has been nothing but pure enjoyment, but the B series stuff is getting very hard to find and it's getting very expensive. Throughout this build over the last 3 years, I've spent a lot of money on OEM quality parts, and it's quite expensive if you want to go that route. Being out here in Montana, there's not a big Honda scene, so if I do need parts for a B series, whether that's another cylinder head, a crankshaft, what have you, I'm paying shipping and buying parts sight unseen, which I don't like doing. Now, will that be the case for the K series? It could be, but most of the things I'm doing are going to be purchased new from reputable shops. So anyways, I've sold this B20vtec setup to a local gentleman here, and I made him a package deal so all of it goes with him. And when I say all of it, he's taking anything in this engine bay compartment that has to do with B series as part of his swap. So he's taking engine mounts, the wiring harness, the radiator, fan, hoses, and overflow, the intake tube, the air filter. He's even gonna take the Speed Factory blow-by canister, as well as the JB tuned flexible clutch line, axles, shift linkage, as well as any other components that won't be used on a K series swap. He even asked if he could take the fuel pressure gauge, and I was fine with that. As well as the run hard battery powered and ground cables. So anything that I can't use for the K swap, it's going to him, so it becomes a turnkey swap in his EM1 Civic. So the JDM K24 should be here in the next couple of weeks, and when it arrives, I'm going to spend the winter time just going over it and doing any service maintenance parts that I need to do to get it ready to swap in the spring. I know there's a few things that need to be converted over to USDM, like the water pump housing and the alternator, and depending on how I want to use that, will determine what parts I need to get. I'm gonna also spend the winter time just researching what parts work the best in this chassis. I'm undecided if I'm gonna go with K-tuned or hybrid parts or a mix of both. What I'm really looking for is just the best components that are available to do this swap right the first time. I don't wanna be buying parts over and over again and spending money that's unnecessary. So I will spend the next few months just kind of researching that to see what components work the best. Once this comes out, I plan on getting back into the bay and detailing it up again and replacing anything that's necessary before the motor goes in. I have a DC subframe that I'm gonna have powder coated to look brand new and satin black, as well as I'll be doing the EG lower control arms and the DC steering rack in order to run those EKK2 mounts to get the motor positioned in the correct way. but that's going to be further down the road. So I'm just really excited to start this project, get this motor out, and move on. I've heard a lot of people say K is the way, and I'm curious to try that platform out and see if that's truly it. I think this motor, the K motor, will take this car to the next level, and I'm excited to just see how it will perform in this chassis. Let me know in the comments, am I making a mistake? Should I stay with that B series platform, or is K actually the way? And so I'd love to hear what your guys' thoughts are. If you know of any components that are must-haves when doing a K series swap, drop them in the comments, let me know. Okay, so I moved my wife's car out of here to just give me a little more room to work with. So before I pull this engine, I'm actually going to add some stable fuel stabilizer into the tank and let it run for a little bit, just to make sure I have treated all of the lines from the tank at least up to the fuel filter. I know that's going to be coming off when the K swap happens, but I just want to make sure that I'm covering all my bases. This could be down for quite some time, and I don't want that fuel to go bad in the lines and cause a problem. So I'm going to dump some fuel stabilizer in there, let it mix, and then run this car for 10 minutes or so on idle, and then drain the gas out as much as I can until the car just dies, so I have an empty tank and I know the fuel lines are at least treated with a stabilizer. This says it's good for up to 2 years. Hopefully this does not take that long to get this up and running again, but you never know. So we're gonna do that and make sure we've done everything we can to protect those fuel lines. All right, so I have the fuel stabilizer in the tank, and now I'm just gonna let it run for about 10 minutes, and then I will hook up a hose from the bottom of the regulator into this tank, and then start the car again and let it just run until it runs completely out of gas. I've got this exhaust fan blowing out so we don't get sick and a door cracked as well. I also got the heater going, so give it about 30 minutes once everything's closed back up, and I'll probably be working in a t-shirt. So as you can see, it's definitely winter in Montana. So we've had about over a foot plus in the last 36 hours, and it's not stopping. So this is the perfect time to do this swap, because I wouldn't be driving this car until April probably. So I have plenty of time to get that K24 ready to go to swap in, along with the other parts that are going to be necessary and all the other components needed to do it. So we'll just keep going, and I think I'll just slowly update you as I'm pulling this out. This is nothing new, it's been done a million times. So I am on a time crunch. Like I said, I got the new baby, so I only have so much time in the garage at a given time. So I just have to get it done when I can get it done. So I don't know how much filming I'll be doing, but I'll do my best. All right, so we just got our fuel hose hooked up to the bottom of the regulator there into this 5-gallon gas can, and you look in there, it is coming out, and we'll just wait until the car completely runs out of fuel and dies, and then we'll know it's as empty as we can get it. So far so good. All right, here's my little buddy. He's out here in the garage helping me. So we got a lot of work to do, but we're draining the coolant right now, and we're popping some axle nuts off and just taking it step by step to make sure we get this out without doing any damage to the motor, so it's in perfect shape for the buyer. So this is my little nugget that put this project off for a year, so he's excited for it too, just like I am. So got some coolant draining, already got the air intake out, got the battery out, and just gonna slowly start taking parts off to get it on the hoist. So I got the battery out, the breather canister, got the throttle cable detached, as well as the run hard ground cables and charge harness. The intake's obviously out. Coolant is drained. It's about it for up there. I got the axles out on both sides, and the ECU is out as well. It's amazing when you follow the procedure in the Honda manual and put grease where grease needs to be and tighten things to the torque specifications, that how easy it comes apart again. So do it right, folks. Follow those torque specs and take the time to do the extra steps to make it right. So I'm just gonna keep plugging away at this, get under there and get the shift linkage, and then slowly keep taking items off, get the radiator out, and hopefully get this thing hooked up to an engine hoist. So I got the motor out, no problem. Right there. I do have to say, this was the easiest pull that I've ever experienced. It did not fight me one bit. I don't think it touched anything coming out. It came straight up without any problems, which is fantastic. I always worry about busting a sensor or scraping up a frame rail or just doing some sort of damage that's unnecessary, but this one came out without any problems. It's right here. I'm going to now clean it up for the guy who's coming to buy it. Just wipe some things off, making sure it looks the best it can be. I did remove the alternator before pulling it. It just gave me a little more room against that frame rail piece right there, which was huge. And so I have some parts here that I'm gonna clean up, and then all of the parts that he's taking on the bench, I'll just clean them up so they look nice. And so it's that package deal. And now we're just waiting for pickup. So that's that. We're waiting on the K24 to show up. Like I said, in a couple weeks it should be here, and we'll tackle that. We'll get it on the engine stand and start to come up with a plan of what we're gonna do over the winter to get this ready to go in the spring. So thanks for watching. I appreciate you guys hanging in there, and keep an eye out for the next one when the K24 is here. Thanks.